At this moment in time, seems to be a huge conflict or what is deemed to be a clash of civilizations when in fact no such thing actually exists. This paranoia, this sort of scaremongering that is appearing more and more in the media and more even now in films, it needs to be understood that it is exactly that, something that is fictitious and that does not actually exist.
It all started, I guess, after 9/11, when many of my non-Muslim colleagues kept asking me, what is the relationship between Islam and terrorism and blowing up the Twin Towers? So, after explaining so many times the true nature of what Islam teaches, we decided to come together, organize ourselves as a community, and teach Islam in its authentic manner, hence challenging stereotypes, removing misconceptions. IDC is the first and only full-time organisation in Islamic awareness in the whole Northeast. The idea of IDC as an organisation was to organise the local community to come together and challenge the stereotype, remove misconceptions, and teach authentic Islam as a result of that. We've grown from literally being a one-man band to now being 50 volunteers on the project, 50 members, all from diverse backgrounds, Muslim, non-Muslim, different ethnicities, men, women, young people. We have so many different people from different backgrounds. And IDC Northeast is not just a Newcastle project, it became a Northeast project.
There's a lot of negativity about Muslims today, especially in the media, and we just need to dissolve the image that we have of Muslims. IDC are very good at doing that, breaking through, holding events, especially targeted for non-Muslims.
Islam is a religion about peace, but the media these days describing Islam is wrong way. Through IDC, people getting the true Islam, Islamic Diversity Center is trying to teach everyone what is Islam and who is Muslim and what is the religion all about.
IDC is about promoting a modern and balanced understanding of Islam, which is suitable for people living in Britain in the 21st century. We're not about converting people, we're not about forcing theological concepts down people's throats. No, we're there to clarify misconceptions and challenge stereotypes, and I think we've done a pretty good job so far, and I hope we'll continue.
I think it's the only organisation in the Northeast who give the awareness of Islam. This is very important, especially with the image of 9/11, things like that, and they think Islam is terrorist, Islam is bad.
I mean, I'm grateful to work as part of IDC, to be honest with you. IDC, for me, I find it's the only organisation in the Northeast that is out there proactively clarifying and challenging the various misconceptions about Islam.
Well, I've always wanted to be involved in giving dawah, which is information to non-Muslims about Islam, as well as Muslims as well, because I'm from a non-Muslim background. I think it's important for non-Muslims to be able to have access to information about Islam, because people have a lot of questions about Islam generally, and many times they don't have any kind of way of accessing information.
The target audience for IDC Northeast is the non-Muslim community, the wider audience, the wider society, to give them the message of Islam, to show them what Islam really truly means, not only in theology, not only in text, but in practice, given that humanistic element to what Islam actually stands for, and how Islam positively contributes to not only the Northeast community, but Britain at large.
IDC organises seminars, lectures. IDC is out there in the street, engaging with people face to face, telling them the true message of Islam. IDC goes into schools to show children that Islam isn't something to be feared. Islam is part of British society just as much as any denomination.
In our ability, we should never convert anyone, because Islam is against converting any people by force. We only convey the message, and you may ask, like, how do we do that? We do it by conducting the stalls, the dawah, that is invitation for the non-Muslim stalls. We do it at the monument on every Saturday.
Have a look at them and study, and if you get convinced, or if you don't, then you can just come and discuss. We are here every Saturday. Is it all right? Well, I'm Abdullah.
As Muslims, it is sort of our duty in a way, I guess, to be open to other members of the community, other faiths. We need to have dialogue, we need to work with them, we need to be sort of involved in different ways, we need to communicate with them.
We work in the schools, we work doing tackling Islamophobia, workshops in primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, universities, to both staff and to the children. And the purpose of that is to, again, bring about that Islamic awareness, but to humanize Islam by giving a face to Islam. We also run Islam courses, teaching the public sector workers and non-Muslim professionals from a very neutral viewpoint of what Islam is, and more importantly, what Islam is not. We talk about things like Islam and culture. What is the difference between Islam and culture? What is the difference between Islam and a Muslim? Very basic principles, teachings, beliefs, practices about Islam and the Muslims. And the most important thing is we have a safe space which is created for people to ask the questions that they've always wanted to ask about Islam and the Muslims. It's been brilliant, the feedback that we've had from over 1,000 people who we've trained up in the IDC Northeast Islam course. Islam is an Arabic word which means, if we were to translate it linguistically, it means to submit or to surrender. To submit or to surrender. Submit and surrender to what? Or submission to what? Faith. Submission to God. So Islam, if we translate it, is to submit or to surrender to the will of God. What do the Muslims call God? What's the Arabic word for God? Allah. Allah is the Arabic word for God.
What was particularly helpful was talking about some of the myths, some of the misunderstandings of Islam and Muslims in general. And that's given me the confidence to be able to tackle people when I hear them talking about that. I would really recommend to anybody involved in public life, anybody involved in delivering services, and anybody who is involved in understanding how communities work and making communities work better together. It's been really valuable.
Really impressed with what I've learnt today. The manner in which it was delivered was funny, it was warm, and it's given me sort of really good insight.
We forge links with the local media, so when anything does come in the mainstream media, when anything does relate to Islam and the Muslims, then IDC has trained individuals who can work with the media in clarifying the true concept or the true understanding of what Islam stands for on such issues. So an events team was organised to organise public events, organise open days, so that the non-Muslim community, those who had doubts, those who had issues with Islam and Muslims, could come in a safe space and listen to what the Muslims had to say firsthand about topical issues like 9/11, like July the 7th, like extremism.
IDC are very good at doing that, breaking through, holding events, especially targeted for non-Muslims, to get them through the door, to interact with Muslims face to face, ask questions, keep it all open, and just to remove the fear and to realise that yes, we do have Muslim neighbours and it's all right, they're okay. We're all okay. We have our certain dress codes, we have our certain ways of living, we have a rule book to follow. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and it's very important that we're able to, communicate with the non-Muslims and vice versa, and all just have a nice, peaceful life.
Who cleans up all that mess when they've left? English Defence Team are just targeting strategic places around the country. They're just moving in and moving out. and it's really got to be dealt with. And also, I think one of the biggest issues there for me is that this is the first time since probably the early 80s that football hooligans have been allowed to meet from different firms around this country.
IDC launched in North Tyneside, and we did the first Islamic events in North Tyneside on 21st November 2010.
I believe very strongly that the things which are normally good are now being seen as not so good for the community. And things which are not so good or evil or bad are now being portrayed as being good for the community. So how do we balance that off? Well, let me give you the example of this Quran burning incident. I'm almost certain, whether it's Pastor Terry Jones in Florida or whether these 6 or 7 individuals in Gateshead, I'm almost certain that they have not read the Quran from cover to cover in the English language. I'm almost certain of that. Because had they read it, they would not be saying statements like, Islam is of the devil, or the Quran is an evil book.
This is very important. Okay? And I think if you think about that, then you can see why treating the Quran respectfully is very, very important for Muslims. Because the way that we physically treat it respectfully is making a link in our mind between the status that we give what this book says in our life. And that, as I said, is what the life of the Muslim is based upon. And it is not religion as you may think of it. It is really a way of living. It's really what our life is about. It's this communication from God to all mankind. And also, by the way, Muslims don't believe the Quran is just for Muslims. We believe it's for everybody. It's a book for all mankind. The Prophet Muhammad is called Rahmatul Alameen. He's a mercy to all, not even the mankind only. Every single living creature. The book is supposed to be, the Quran, a book of mercy.
But how are Christians about this business of if somebody, let's say, burns a Bible? Now, to be honest, as with Islam, there are different approaches, different schools of thoughts. Some Christians will be utterly scandalized, will be out there in the street with placards. The same when other Christian symbols are damaged. Other Christians might take the line, well, God is so great. If people are stupid enough to abuse the scriptures or abuse Christian symbols, well, then they are just stupid because the Spirit of God is greater than that.
I'll write Muslim up on the board. And I ask the young people, be really, really honest. What is the first word that comes into your head when you hear the word Muslim? And I really do beg them, be honest. Don't be worried that I'm going to be like, you're racist. Just be free and say what actually comes into your head. Now, the young people definitely are honest, and usually, because we write up on the board all the words that surround the word Muslim. And usually they are words like bomber, terrorist, turban, and then racist words like Paki. And this is consistent in every single classroom around the northeast, and in schools that we've done in Scotland and the southeast of England and in Wales. This is consistent.
IDC kindly came over to Sunderland University during our Islamic Awareness Week, and basically we set up an exhibition, and they came and they gave hands-on dawah to people. So they spoke to people about what Islam really is, and like the Sunderland doesn't really have a vast Muslim community there that is pretty active. So it is so important that they came there, and it's such an amazing benefit. I mean, so many people walked away with such amazing feedback. You see in Middlesbrough in general, you see that there's a lot of segregation between Muslims and non-Muslims. They don't actually gel, and I think IDC Northeast actually push, and IDC Teesside I think will help people to understand each other, come together, be friends and get on in society and take away these stereotypes.
A Muslim's belief is in one God. Muhammad has been the last prophet. We're not saying the only prophet, but belief from people from Adam, Abraham, Noah, Jesus being the messenger and the great prophet of Allah. The word Allah doesn't actually mean the moon god or what people say. Allah just means the God.
IDC Northeast has its own New Muslim Support Centre or New Muslim Support Project. The purpose of this is to allow the new Muslim to understand the true Islam, the authentic Islam, so that they won't get misled by other people or other groups, and that they really do get grounded in the true knowledge of what Islam teaches, the true spirit of what Islam teaches.
So what IDC Northeast will focus on is teaching the essentials that need to be understood to ensure that there is connectivity between the Muslim community that you're working with or that who you employ and the individuals that are employing and working with them. What makes IDC so authentic in the way that it teaches and delivers its courses, delivers its understanding in schools, in prisons, and the work that it does, is that it sticks to the basic fundamentals that are not in any way disagreeable within all sects of the Islamic faith.
With all the media we've had about Islam and all that, it's pretty scary stuff. So if you don't know about Islam and you're always scared about the things you don't know about, but really behind all that hype, it's a peaceful religion.
The reason why we need to understand Islam now better is because of the way it is portrayed and the way it is actually demonizing Muslim communities within our own locality, within our region, and within our country and this place of Britain.
You guys still ready to accept it and to take the path to God? Yes. Okay. See, you have to say, I bear witness that there is one true God. So repeat after me. I bear witness. That there is only one true God. And I bear witness. That the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. No in Arabic say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammad